quorum. We added some pieces in to strengthen the president's hand and putting a gavel down. I think you've seen some sensitivity to that even tonight. Mr. McKinney's very legitimate concern that he raised up and really didn't need to keep repeating it over and over again. And some of us on the council who are more aware, I think, of the rules as we continue to look at them and adapt to the new ones, we'll start to insert and say, we've heard this, we've made the process, let's move on so we don't have to sit through the repeated requests. But because I just heard some notations in minutes and then also just in other items of conversations uptown, newsletter writings, I thought it might be worthwhile to have a conversation because even tonight I was asked up through a cabin fever by someone who said, what's happening is City Council trying to stifle public input and rumors start flying around town about things, and my answer was absolutely not. This is just sort of, from my mind, a refresher course on the fact that we do have certain rules of conduct for the public when they come before us, but that's not meant to ever say that the public shouldn't come before us, or that if we need to do some adaptations, I guess as the immediate past chair of the Rules Committee, then it would be wise for us to have a discussion and we would put that back to our recommendation from the established Rules Committee or ourselves begin a dialogue tonight about what that might be so we have proper input. So that was my reason for asking for the study session tonight. I don't have a specific recommendation other than to just give my personal testimony that I think our rules as they currently are adequate. It would be very helpful sometimes if there's an extensive discussion that the public would particularly like, that we might receive that notice early, but that's also provided for in our rules that they can do that. They can contact the president and say that there's an agenda item they'd like to bring forward so we're prepared for it. And that unless there's something grossly missing in that, I personally think our rules cover that fairly well. And a lot depends on just our own, allowing ourselves to get frustrated at any moment, or just honestly answer we're not prepared to answer that question. And then, if necessary, ask the president to hold the gavel, if you will, and say it's time to move on. We've gone through this 2, 3, 4 times already. And so that's sort of my opening just comment about it. And I just didn't know where the rest of the council was on that, or if they had feelings, because we certainly haven't discussed as a group anything more specifically about it.
A comment like maybe to yourself, Tim. When a person comes up to the mic to basically address an issue, is the privilege of the comments, or is he entitled to a debate?
I think he can make comments. So if there's a long-standing debate, the way the rules, but I think it calls for us to put it on a study session or something similar to that. So.
If a gentleman or somebody comes up to the mic and basically makes a comment, addresses a concern, is he? I guess what I'm saying is he entitled to make the comments, which I believe he is, but is he entitled to a debate on an issue, the council or the administration, while he's at the mic?
Well, if it's less than 5 minutes, I think it's going to be, the rules address something that's going to be the president has discretion. If there's going to be a substantive discussion about something that we need to put on as a study session. And I think we did that once before, recently since the rules and stuff. Somebody came brought something that we would have found as a study session that we knew was going to take a lot longer than I don't mind discussion on those council member votes concerns brought up, but it's going to take a lot longer study than we should study. So, I don't know how you all feel, because you're the ones that go through a lot of rallies, but I don't mind if there's something brought up that the council wants to discuss it 10 or 15 minutes, really. If it's something we think we can handle in that, and it looks like something that might take a half hour or so, then maybe put a strike to it and bring it back for a study session at that time.
Well, also,
Also, as a member of the rules committee, I think we're going to be quite well this stuff. I mean, I really don't see a change for it because what we're going to discuss.
My own sense of it is we developed in the rules committee a fairly elaborate procedure by which people who wish to bring issues to the council are to inform the clerk of that to reserve time on the agenda. And what my own experience has been is that we also retain the rule that this provides something in the general business where anyone in the audience who wants to address council about something that's not on the agenda, 5 minutes to speak. And that was really intended, I thought, as sort of an exception to the rule that contemplated scheduling these and providing public notice of discussion. And my own sense is that the exception was swallowed. With the exception maybe of Cindy Mack and I don't think anybody who wants to come before this body and make a presentation actually notifies the clerk to put something on the agenda. And maybe the people can be criticized as trying to stifle speech by asking people to give us advance notice if they're coming with some presentation. I would argue that it doesn't stifle it, in fact, it encourages it. Because what we've seen, I think, are multiple instances over the last year or two in which an individual or group of individuals has effectively packaged a program that they're going to come in and present to the council, maybe not so much because they want to address it to you, but they want to address it to our television camera and to Mr. Helmer. And they sort of commandeered this body's meeting for the purposes of making that presentation. And because quite often these are issues in which there's two sides to the story, but because they haven't given the advance notice to the clerk, the other side doesn't know that they're coming and has no opportunity to reply. And maybe the solution to that is more aggressive use of the gavel by the chair to simply say, if you want to get into this, that's fine, we'll make it 30 seconds in 2 weeks and notify everybody to get there. But we had a couple of instances that I thought were somewhat alarming here just recently. We had a group that, I'm going to say, I think there were at least 2 people who came before us to one to complain about the conduct of neighbors, and then another neighbor to reinforce the first one's comment. At this point, you're not dealing with somebody who's an unplanned speech. You're dealing with somebody who's here to present the program. And, of course, the people that were being criticized on television and in the press weren't here to defend themselves. The police department was rather battered for not doing enough to police the neighborhood, at least on one side of the presentation. And no one at this table had any idea that they were coming. No one at this table had any knowledge of the issue. And the following day, what we found was that in the judgment of the police, we had been subjected to a grand display of the pot calling the kettle black, at best, and may have even been the pot calling the white china dish black. And I think that kind of, there has to be some way to prevent that sort of use of television usage. When people come here and they wish to present what's truly a legislative issue to the council, They ought to be able to do that. But there's nothing about requiring them to notify the clerk prior to the publication of the agenda that they intend to come, that would prevent them from doing that. But the publication of the agenda would then give the other side the opportunity to be here to defend themselves. That would be the first point of it. And the other thing is that I think a good number of these issues that come in here like this really aren't properly addressed issues, legislative issues at all. If there is an issue about whether or not, and let's just use tonight's example, whether or not there should be greater law enforcement of the zoning code and traffic laws on Carolina Drive, that's functionally an administrative activity initially. It may become a legislative matter if the administrative response is, well, we don't have any ordinances on the books to deal with. But it's not really a legislative matter at all when it's first presented, as it gets to it. And I think that to some extent, the open-ended use of public comment or anything that's not on the agenda and you want to speak up now, that very open-ended invitation to people to just get up and say whatever they like, has a tendency to distract people here, including the council itself, from the real topic of discussion, which is the legislative process.
I understand what you're saying, David. Just the other side of it is when people, in my case, appointed president, you elected to represent these people. And a lot of times, short of them coming up and knocking on our door, this is the way they think they can get a hold of us to let them know what they're worried about.
Well, I would suggest that the point that the board should involve. I don't have vacation, so I can't. But my recollection of the conversation was that the contemplating essentially two-pronged amendment to the rule. One would be to require people to begin the time on the agenda so that it's publicized and so that anybody else that may be interested in the subject that they want to address will know that there's going to be a televised conversation at which they may want to participate. But it was also to be coupled with a provision in the rules to adjust the website to give people a very easy way to report these types of things to us in advance of the meeting. Quite honestly, I think many of them, if we had this vote system, comment system established as part of the council's procedures with a follow-up program, a support program, a good number of the things that have come before us over the last couple of years regularly come to the meeting because they were going resolved before the meeting.
Nice.
Tonight would be a classic example, as would the similar problem that we had on Jackson. The way we presented that was in part because many of them returned phone calls after about 6 weeks when the message had never been delivered. So people who need to call it, you need to know to call. And so what we're talking about is not only requiring the people to make a reservation before they appear in council, but general public notice of what it is they want to talk about. But also to provide an open door, easily accessible process by which they can make that notification and in many cases have the problem resolved administratively for the council.
The only problem with the example you given about Mr. McKinney tonight is though, he did go to the police and he got nowhere. And I guess he didn't know what his next step was, but to come to a council meeting and say, hey, this is a problem, what can I do?
And I think that's a good point, Tim, because a lot of the time, people have come in front of us, they feel they've run out of avenues. Whether it be frustration with border control or frustration with the police department, whatever it may be, it's, most of the time, I think they're like their last avenue. I'm going to talk to somebody. We can, sometimes it's pitting us and you or whatever it is, but I think a lot of times, and I think tonight was really a good example. I mean, I personally have a problem with Mr. Kenny up and saying, but I got a problem where do I go? And I think that's part of council and border control's issue.
I don't have a problem with him doing that either. Like, I just-
No, and I don't mean that. I mean,
Had he had this system that we're talking about in place, he would have had a telephone number to call, he would have also had an email address specifically for that.
but that's counting on him having internet and lots of.
Well, I'll follow or stop with that. But if he-
I don't think the public recognized that you guys was available. Right, I mean, you're available. Come to the door, knock on it, come and talk to us. And it works for me, I think it works for everybody else. But I don't think the public recognize or realize that you guys are that accessible. And I believe you are. I just don't believe that Mr. Kinney would just stop and see Jeff.
Generally, I mean, when look, come Wednesday morning, when I'm through a council meeting, honestly, I generally will go to whichever division may have had issues at the previous council meeting, and then I'll go and try to find out, okay, what took place, why did this happen, where's the breakdown, what needs to be done, how do we need to push it forward, and the same would hold true for Mr. McKinney tonight. I mean, sometimes I get a different story, but, now what has to happen is we have to go and push forward and find out who talked to Mr. McKinney, how did this take place, and get more detail about what happened. Because, look, we're public servants, and you know what we need more than anything is clarity. You can tell somebody, we can't help you, and I think that that's fine. But when you don't answer the question, right, that's, right. And you might have to explain why you can't help them. But in this case, I think that it's a little bit convoluted in the fact that there are rules and regulations. They're just not maybe on the books. They're in a zoning code, or they're somewhere else that they're
One of
different.
the rules I think most of us know is if you're parked on the street, it has to be paid. You're not worried that Bobcat had a license plate.
That's right.
Right.
I mean, that's the first tell, if I'm going, wait a minute, Bobcat on the street, no license plate, you can't be here. So it's not, the answer wasn't, it's public.
Same with the van.
There's a question,
Right.
seriously, but my take was that at 2 o'clock this afternoon, you're going to be sick.
Right.
I mean, whenever Mr. McKinney wanted to stop at your office,
But I
he might
also-
not have been there, but somebody would.
Right, I also think that, look, I've never been offended by the fact that when somebody comes up, look, somebody has taken time out of their day to come down, and it can be very pain and grueling for them to come up and say, I thought about this and I thought about this. So I think you have to respect the fact that just coming down here and standing before this group, yeah, it's a pretty tough thing to do, and I think you have to appreciate the fact that, look, when somebody has those kind of issues and they're upset, not only do we get to see firsthand about things that have happened, but if the public comes in, they get to find those things as well. And,
I think this is the perfect place. They can reach you, they can reach us.
I'm not saying I've always been happy about it, because quite frankly, honestly, if somebody had knowledge about a problem, I have said this before, why are you waiting until Tuesday night to voice your opinion? You want to get it done, call my office, or call somebody, and we'll get it done. And
Same
there's,
token, when the call was placed in the department knew there was something frustrating.
Right.
But in the department called you up and say, hey, There's a lot of little
There's
things.
gaps and there's things that things kind of fall through, and in this case, if we had talked to the police department, and which you did, I think we have to go back and reevaluate that concept and find out, look, if you can't help me, is there anybody else that can? And then that's when they need to sort of, well, you might want to call so-and-so, and maybe they can help it. As far as what I see, I think entitled to in the right of way and be there. Now,
I think we should get across more that we're here to help people with problems, not try to tear them. We're not mafia, we're going to shoot them if they come down here.
yeah, I agree. I think you have to be very respectful.
And I think to David's point, there's a lot of times things that come before us that we don't answer, can't answer, we don't know the answer. But it's our responsibility to get the answer to that.
The challenge is, a couple fold here. Like Dave's clarification, when it's a public participation, there's also a quick question or something that, for the good of the cause, I'd like to ask about, versus it becomes a presentation. Again, I think that's partly our own responsibility to gauge what's happening. I don't have necessarily a major objection to adding extra ways to put things on the agenda of the presentation. I still think in a system like ours, it's very valuable to have the public here. And frankly, I would make an assumption that that's one of the reasons why this council chamber is set up the way it is. To have administration sitting at this table. Technically, this is a city council meeting. And you all are as invited guests as they are. And with the exception of the charter says the mayor should be at the meeting. Because they have to.
I don't like anybody.
Exactly. Actually, what we do is we sit here, and we're a family, and therefore, I think, that's one of the reasons why folks get up. They say, Mayor Bob, can you answer this? Now, maybe that's, again, partly our responsibility as council to say, please direct the question first to the president. And say, Mr. President, I have a question for the mayor. This is what it's about. Or I have a question for a member of council. And then you begin to get into that issue of, that's really an administrative issue. Part of that, or we choose that we'd like to have that answered because it has great educational value for people sitting out there. I wish all citizens knew and heard about the issues related to businesses parking their cars or their business equipment, or their bobcats or whatever on the streets on a regular basis. Because that impacts us all, and I see great education. I don't think we've been terribly disrupted, but I also understand the value of doing some of the early stuff and the distinctions made, and therefore, perhaps we can, again, formulate some thoughts about that and put them into our rules if we feel we can do that.
Nothing's changed. All are welcome. Please come down. We get a number of phone calls during the week, the four of us do. People that want to know questions about what they read in the paper. East 2nd Street, there's a part that wasn't paved. What's that all about? Well, we're going to do construction next year, so we're holding them. Well, then the answer's there. And most of the time, it's that type of communications that are back and forth that we do. So, people calling, I've got this, I want to do or that, I want to do, or direct me to the proper department or whatever. We don't get a lot of that, we're glad to do it. If anybody wants to come down on Tuesday night and ask questions, I will sure that. But I don't think council has a rule that says, or wants to change a rule to change anything.
Motion by Mr. Ketchum, second by Mr. Engel, all those in favor?
Aye.